so we don't put them in there. Get tested. If you feel you don't have HIV, if you just want it for the experience, so you can really have conviction, and when you tell somebody to get tested, what that experience is like, get tested yourself. Because I tell people on camera all the time, if you don't know your status, your current status, you are part of the problem. Because it happens like that. I used to be a disease intervention specialist. I used to knock on people's door and tell them they had things that they need to get checked up about. I left this general letter on somebody's door, and she came in the next day and she was real sad. And I said, what's wrong? She said, you know that letter you left? I said, yeah. She said, well, my neighbor made copies of it and she passed it out to everybody. Well, as a DIS, I was able to interview what they call clusters. She didn't have to know if she was having sex or not. She just needed to think she could benefit from an exam. And I asked her, do you think she could benefit from an exam? She said, oh, yeah. I went to her house. I told her I needed to talk to her about something. And I said, someone that tested positive for syphilis that's real close to you thought you could benefit from an exam. She thought I meant close to her like she didn't been intimate with. I meant live next door to. So she got tested and she had gonorrhea.
No.
And she didn't even know it. The girl could have saved her life. It could have increased, it became pelvic inflammatory disease, and she could not have children for the rest of her life. She didn't even know it because she didn't have symptoms. And just in a random little screening like that, we found out. So we definitely need more stuff like that. And the last thing is get involved. Get involved. Stop taking the back seat and say, I'm going to do something about it. You know, I'm going to get, Gail, what can we do? Can we get a committee together that's just going to focus on Pointe Coupee? Let's throw some ideas out there. Let's brainstorm. And this committee, that's all we're going to deal with is HIV and STDs in our community. And we're going to do 4 events a year. Let's do it. Let's do it. Because what I'm tired of going to meetings and people talk about stuff and nothing happens afterwards. Nothing happens afterwards. Any questions?
Yes. Let me ask this. Back to funding. Gail, do we? Who is our health board the person, the organization that would be the funding agency for this kind of thing in our?
Usually, you would take it to the health board, and if we saw the need of something in the past that dealt with health, Pointe Coupee General has always been that agency too that would help. But anything that was, deterrent
All right,
to us.
so my question is, any of my taxes that I'm paying to this parish, is any money going in toward this kind of program?
Not that I know of.
It may be going into the program that's in Baton Rouge,
Yeah.
but it's probably not going into the program in Pointe Coupee.
Why not?
So yeah, that's my question.
Well, one of the things is, a lot of taxes for the state goes to the state budget.
Right.
So the state budget and their departments determine what's going to happen with it. And about 4 years ago, the state budget decided that they were going to only fund one organization to do testing for the whole region. So that cut out Pointe Coupee. Now, if you call them, they might come. But they're not going to come as water. They're not going to be here at least once. You need at least once a quarter where people can start feeling like, oh, these people come and do testing. Oh, I'm going to come next time. When they know it's going to happen. When it's sporadic and people don't get tested. Not as much.
So my concern right now is the board of our board of health needs to hear this presentation that you just gave us, because I'm sitting here and I'm stunned at the figures I'm hearing that's related to Pointe Coupee Parish, and as a coming from North Carolina and served on my city council for 16 years, I'm appalled at, I'm not, I'm going to do something. You may mention 2 or 3 times doing something. So I'm retired. I don't have to depend on anybody for a check. I don't have to sign in to go to work or anything like that. but you have sparked my interest
Amen.
in this. You know, I'm 76 years old now, and these figures I'm hearing from you just keep penetrating in my mind, and I'm upset within. And I bet you $1 these figures that I'm hearing probably high Afro-American citizens.
Right.
Oh, definitely. When you talk about racial differences, it's going to be 80% plus of the infection rate in our community are African American. And you know, if we took every civic organization and every organization that you have in this community, and if every member gave $1 every month in all those organizations, it could fund a program by itself. But see, there's so much competition, and that's why a lot of people, they stray away from it, because they say, well, if we give $1 to HIV, we're going to have to give $1 to breast cancer. If we give $1 to breast cancer, we're going to have to give $1 to prostate cancer. If we give $1, so in order to prevent all that, nobody gives anything. And that's where the problem is at. Because we are not, I say we should take that Katrina approach, or take the New York approach, or take the California approach. You don't see this stuff happening, and their stats worse than, our stats worse than theirs. And you can't even go to a bus stop or a billboard and see a sign that says protect yourself. HIV is nothing. It's like we're so political, we want to cover up what's happening in our community, in our region, in Baton Rouge, and say we don't want people to pass through and see that we have a problem. What if you had a billboard up that said, in Pointe Coupee, 61% of the people who have HIV are already at an AIDS diagnosis. Life is being cut short. Who is going to put that billboard up? But that's a fact.
But that's an educational billboard
right,
as well.
But they don't. We're not going to put that up, because then that's not pretty Pointe Coupee.
How do you encourage people to get tested? If HIV can be asymptomatic, I mean, what do you say to them to get them to get tested?
What I told y'all, I tell them, like I said, they call me AJ Keeping It Real Johnson. If you don't know your current HIV status, you part of the problem. How long do you want to be part of the problem? When you got rapid testing, when you can find your results in 20 minutes, why would you not want your results? Would you get on the interstate with bald tires and do 75? Would you?
No.
If you knew those tires were bald. But we can check the tires. We take a road trip, we check the oil tank, we check everything. But when it comes to our body, as long as it's still moving, we don't check nothing. We got to check ourselves.
At our very last health fair, you were there. I called the other agency, but I couldn't get them, the one that got funded. But you came.
Amen.
The one thing that really got people to go in and get tested, and we had the most we'd ever had, because you've been there with the mobile, and Gail Hurst and 2 people probably got tested, but Dr. Sneed was the guest speaker. And Dr. Sneed said in his very opening statement, I am so happy to see that you guys have HIV testing here. He said that is very, very important that you know your status. And so we got many more people to go and get tested that particular day.
And you know, one of the things that you cannot, just like I have my staff with me today, and I feel like God has given me this ministry, and pastors don't go places without part of the congregation, so this is my immediate congregation right here. And the thing is, you got to know that that type of support is what makes things happen. Y'all have what a lot of communities don't have. Y'all have a Gail Hurst. Gail has so many connections in the community and so many people that would do things for her, because she has sustained her reputation throughout. There's no, bless you, baby. There's no wishy-washy. Everybody that know her, they know that she's about making something happen. And if they don't want to know her, that's because they fake and they don't want to make things happen. That's the truth. You can't know her and not want to make things happen, because she's gonna be about trying to make things happen.
Yes. In my arena, everything you brought out was beautiful points, but I just want to make a statement. In my arena, I found that AIDS have been pushed back behind the burner. There's so many other things that have come up and it's put back. we are very careful about AIDS. We don't have the time to go through all of this, but I was there when it first started, and I know the process we had to go through, and nobody had any information. And I tell you how the information comes. Some of the seminars I went through, I was all upset with the speaker because he knew something, but the way he explained it, nobody could deal with it. But anyway, what we are finding now, that there are other diseases that have spinned off from AIDS that's just as bad, and you have just both from bacteria that we have to be careful of. And education is one of the things that is put behind the back burner. Nobody really want to hear. When he was asking about the health department, they wide open to a certain extent. But they are, like, to me, in one little unit, and everything stays there. They have the equipment, they have these statistics, but they're not putting them out. You volunteer to come there and get any information or get in it. They have condoms there, they tell you to use. Who thinks about it? Everybody say, well, hey, I don't want to know, I'm coming to get them. All kind of some things, but because of lack of education and understanding. So I feel like you said, he made a statement, and it's true. We're going to have to get involved and do something, because the money was put out, but really it went nowhere. You know, for his education, they made one statement here and one statement there, and that was the end of it. Yeah, that was the end of it. So individually, small organization, individually, like Gail and other people are going to have to get together and really do something to produce this. Because other than that, it's going to die further and further.
And you could, you know, by doing so, they call it community mobilization. You could show your results and compare them to the state results for your community. What's being done for HIV testing in your community? So if it's just the health unit, are they still doing tests? Because I know a lot of health units shut down or part-time.
I don't know if they're doing the testing, but like I said, they are so far behind, and they have so many other things that they have priority for. It's just on the back burner. If you don't go there and ask for something, you just ain't gonna never get it. It's there, but they're not gonna, you know, that's on the back burner now.
And then another thing is quality service. You know, a lot of people in the community don't like to go to the health unit because they get health unit service. Next. Son, fill this out, put your name at the top, bring it back to the desk when you get through. Next. And they feel more like it's so impersonal that they're being treated more like a number than an individual and not respected for their worth. I don't care if you're selling crack on a corner, you're still an individual. So when you receive that service, you should be treated as an individual. And so when we go into the community, it's so community driven that people feel more embraced to get tested, even for the first time. Because it's right there in their community. They can come with their pajamas on if they feel like it. They got their friends with them. And it's not that stigma that you get when, oh, I saw him going to health unit. Even though you're getting the same test, it's not that health unit stigma. And believe it or not, I don't know, I'm not going to tell a story, but there is a story about the pot roast where they cut off the ends. Y'all know that story? Y'all heard that story before? The lady cut off the ends of the pot roast before she put it in the oven. And her husband said, "What you do that for?" And she said, "Baby, this is the way we cook pot roast. Baby, you don't cut off the ends, that's good meat." And she said, "Look, you got a problem with taking it up with my mama." So he called her mama and said, "You know, Kelly cutting off the ends of the pot roast before she put it in the oven. What's the problem?" "Baby, that's the way we do it. Grandma did it, we all do it. You got a problem, call Grandma." He called Grandma and said, "Grandma, how you doing? Let me calm down first. Now, Kelly cutting off the sides of the pot roast. What's the problem? Everybody say that's the way y'all cook it." And she said, "Honey, back in the day, we only had one size pan." So the point of that is this. We got a lot of things going on in our community that people do, they don't know why. But because everybody else do it, they just don't know why. And when we have an educated discussion about Tuskegee and how individuals were used to experiment about syphilis, even though if I pull a 16-year-old on the side and say, what do you know about Tuskegee? He'd say, who?
Right. You're right.
But he doesn't know about Tuskegee, but he knows I don't trust the Office of Public Health. I don't trust the public health facility. I don't trust it. Because my mom ain't trust it, my dad ain't trust it, my uncle ain't trust it, my grandfather ain't trust it. I don't know why, but if they don't trust it, I don't trust it. So some people are just not getting the services because of lack of community trust.